Nestled in the quiet, leafy suburbs of Surrey, the Greenwood estate was the epitome of elegance and tranquility, with its cobblestone streets lined with sycamores, manicured lawns, and homes that seemed to belong in the pages of a luxury lifestyle magazine. It was a sanctuary for the wealthy, and accomplished among these homes was Willow Manor, a 5-bedroom Georgian-style house that had been Margaret Windsor's pride and joy for over 30 years. Margaret, a 62-year-old widow, had poured her heart and savings into Willow Manor, or her husband's sudden passing. Every room bore her meticulous touch, from the antique chandeliers to the hand-painted mural in the nursery that once belonged to her now-grown children. But as arthritis crept into her joints and the upkeep of the grand estate became too much, Margaret made the heart-wrenching decision to lease the property. After interviewing several prospective tenants, Margaret chose the Henderson family: David, a marketing executive; Clara, a stay-at-home mother; and their 5-year-old daughter, Lily. Their polished manners, charming stories, and glowing references put Margaret at ease. "We'll take good care of your home," Clara had said with a warm smile during their first meeting. "Lily is going to love the garden, and we'll make sure everything stays perfect." For the first 6 months, everything seemed to confirm Margaret's choice. The Hendersons paid their rent on time and even invited Margaret over for tea on a few occasions. She felt a maternal fondness for Lily, a bright-eyed girl who would often show Margaret her drawings. It started subtly. Mrs. Carter, Margaret's longtime friend and neighbour, mentioned hearing loud parties late into the night. Another neighbour, Mr. Green, complained about strangers loitering near the property, for it dismissed these concerns, attributing them to exaggerations or misunderstandings. But soon, her own suspicions grew. The garden she had tended to 4 decades became overgrown with weeds, and the once pristine hedges were left untrimmed. Packages addressed to the Hendersons began piling up on the porch, suggesting neglect. Margaret's attempts to address these issues were met with excuses. Clara's bright demeanour dimmed, and David became evasive. "We're just going through a rough patch," he explained during one of Margaret's visits. The rent payments stopped in the 7th month. Margaret's calls went unanswered, and emails bounced back. Alarmed, she drove to Willow Manor, only to find the gates chained shut. A crude sign reading "Keep Out" was tied to the gate. Margaret sought legal counsel and obtained a court order to regain access to her property. When the locksmith finally opened the door, Margaret's heart sank. Inside, Willow Manor was unrecognizable. The once polished oak floors were scratched and caked in mud. Walls were smeared with graffiti, including vulgar phrases and nonsensical drawings. Chandeliers were missing, light fixtures shattered, and the grand dining table had been reduced to splinters. The kitchen was the most horrifying sight. Mouldy food festered in the fridge, and the marble countertops were stained with spilled paint and burnt marks. In the living room, Margaret found piles of trash and overturned furniture. Upstairs, the bedrooms were no better. The master bedroom reeked of alcohol, with empty bottles strewn across the floor. The nursery, where Margaret had lovingly painted a mural of a magical forest, was defaced with black spray paint. Margaret's tears flowed as she wandered through the ruins of her cherished home. The Hendersons were nowhere to be found. Police investigations revealed that David and Clara had a history of moving from rental property to rental property, leaving behind similar trails of destruction. They had used fake references and even falsified identification to gain Margaret's trust. Repair estimates came to over £50,000, a staggering sum Margaret couldn't afford. Insurance covered only a fraction, citing negligence clauses in her lease agreement. Word of the vandalism spread through Greenwood Estate, shocking the residents. The neighbours, who had always admired Willow Manor, rallied to support Margaret. They organised fundraisers, offering donations and volunteer labour to help restore the house. One evening, as volunteers cleared debris, Margaret stumbled upon a small, undamaged box in Lily's room. Inside was a hand-drawn card with a shaky child's handwriting. "Dear Mrs. Windsor, I'm sorry about the mess. I love your house. Please don't be mad at me. Lily Margaret clutched the card to her chest, her emotions a mix of anger, sorrow, and a sliver of compassion. Over the next year, Willow Manor was painstakingly restored. Margaret decided she could never lease it again and moved back in. Vowing to protect it for as long as she could, the incident became a cautionary tale, not just for Margaret, but for landlords across the estate. Greenwood residents tightened their tenant screening processes, learning from her painful experience. Though Margaret rebuilt her home, the emotional scars lingered, yet she refused to let bitterness consume her. They took so much, she told Mrs. Carter one afternoon, that they didn't take my resolve. Willow Manor is my heart, and I'll keep it beating. Years later, Margaret received a letter in the mail. It was from Lily, now a teenager, who had tracked her down. Dear Mrs. Windsor, it read, I remember your beautiful house. I'm sorry for what my family did. I hope one day to make it right. Though Margaret never heard from Lily again, the letter gave her hope. Perhaps, in the wreckage of betrayal, there remained a chance for redemption. Trust is a fragile gift, but even in the face of betrayal, resilience can restore what was lost. Property and facility management perspective. Tenant screening. The story highlights the critical importance of rigorous tenant screening. Property managers should verify tenant references, employment history, and identification documents to ensure credibility. Regular inspections. Scheduled property inspections are essential to catch early signs of misuse or negligence. A clause in the lease agreement allowing periodic checks can help landlords safeguard their property. Maintenance monitoring. Neglect of the garden and other facilities could have been an early warning sign. Facility managers should maintain open communication with tenants and act quickly on complaints or observations. Emergency response plans. Having a predefined plan to address issues like unpaid rent, property vandalism, or legal disputes can save time and resources. Moral perspective. Trust and accountability. While trust is vital in any landlord-tenant relationship, it must be balanced with accountability. Margaret's trust was exploited, emphasizing the need for caution. Community support. The neighbors rallying around Margaret shows the power of community in overcoming hardships. It serves as a reminder that collective action can ease individual burdens. Resilience and hope. Despite the betrayal, Margaret's determination to rebuild her home and her eventual forgiveness of Lily illustrate the human capacity for resilience and compassion. Legal perspective. Lease agreement clauses. A well-drafted lease agreement should include provisions for property maintenance, penalties for vandalism, and inspection rights. This would provide landlords with more control and legal recourse. Background checks. Conducting thorough background checks on prospective tenants, including checking for previous legal or eviction cases, is crucial to avoid fraudulent tenants like the Hendersons. Insurance coverage. Landlords should review their insurance policies to ensure comprehensive coverage, including damages caused by tenants. Margaret's experience highlights the gap in her coverage. Legal recourse. When tenants abscond, landlords should immediately involve legal professionals to pursue restitution or track down offenders. Keeping a record of all tenants' interactions can strengthen a landlord's case. Lessons learned. The importance of vigilance. Early intervention could have prevented significant damage. Landlords and property managers should act promptly when they notice red flags. Never ignore neighbor complaints. Margaret's dismissal of her neighbor's warnings allowed the situation to escalate. Collaboration with the community can provide valuable insights. Trust, but verify. While it's essential to trust tenants, thorough verification of their background can protect landlords from potential fraud. Emotional preparedness. Property ownership comes with risks, and landlords should be emotionally prepared for potential challenges, including betrayal. Documentation and planning. Proper documentation, from tenant agreements to inspection reports, can provide essential evidence in disputes and legal proceedings. The story serves as a reminder that property management requires a balance of empathy, vigilance, and professionalism by learning from experiences like Margaret's. Landlords and property managers can better protect their investments, foster positive tenant relationships, and maintain peace of mind. If you find this story enlightened, please like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel for more content on property, facility and real estate management business tips. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. God bless you.